think about the last time you scrolled through old family photos. There you are, a few days old, wrapped in a hospital blanket, someone is holding you. You have no memory of it. None at all. But the real answer for why is far stranger than simple forgetting. You assume your brain just wasn't recording yet. That's the easy explanation. It's also wrong. Your brain was recording. Scans of infant brains show activity in the hippocampus, the structure responsible for forming memories, within days of birth. The lights were on. Something was happening in there. So if the machinery existed, where did those memories go? This is called infantile amnesia. It's not a flaw, it's not a malfunction, it happens to every human being who has ever lived, in every culture, on every continent. Scientists have measured it precisely. Most adults cannot recall anything before the age of 3.5. Some stretch back to 2.5. Almost nobody goes earlier. The cutoff is so consistent across the species that researchers stopped treating it as a mystery and started treating it as a design. Not a failure. Here's where it gets strange. Your infant brain wasn't idle. It was building at a blistering pace. In the first year of life, your brain produced roughly 1 million new neural connections every second. That's not a typo, and it's not an exaggeration. Picture a city being constructed overnight, streets and buildings appearing faster than anyone could map them. That was your skull, for months on end. The hippocampus, meanwhile, was doing something specific. It was generating new neurons at an extraordinary rate, a process called neurogenesis. In adults, this process slows to a crawl. In infants, it's constant. And here's the twist. New neurons don't just add to the filing cabinet, they rewrite it. Think of your early memories like sandcastles. Now imagine the tide doesn't just erase them, it rebuilds the entire beach every single day. That's closer to what was happening inside your skull as a baby. Each wave of new neurons inserted itself into existing memory circuits, overwriting the connections that had just formed. The memories weren't lost through neglect, they were bulldozed through growth. Researchers tested this directly, using mice. Young mice with rapid neurogenesis showed the same pattern of forgetting seen in human infants. When scientists slowed down neuron production in the young mice, the memories stuck around longer. When they sped up neurogenesis in older mice, the older mice began forgetting things the way infants do. The mechanism wasn't a guess anymore. It was demonstrated, reversed, and demonstrated again. There's a second piece to this puzzle. It involves the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for stitching individual moments into something resembling a story. In infants, this region is barely online. It's one of the last parts of the brain to mature. Without it, a baby's brain can absorb information, but it can't yet file that information under a timestamp, a location, a narrative thread. A memory without a story attached doesn't disappear immediately. It floats, briefly, and then it's overwritten by the next wave of construction. So why would evolution build a brain that erases its own early work? Because early life isn't about remembering, it's about learning how to learn. A newborn's brain isn't trying to store the specific moment your mother's face appeared over the crib. It's trying to build the general architecture for recognizing faces at all. It's not memorizing the sound of your first language. It's constructing the entire auditory system that will process every language you ever hear. The details get sacrificed so the framework can get built. You didn't lose your first memories. You spent them like raw material on something bigger. There's a name for what an infant does have, even without episodic memory. It's called implicit memory, and it doesn't need the hippocampus at all. It lives in muscle, in emotional association, in reflex. This is why you flinch at loud noises without remembering ever being startled before. This is why certain smells or sounds can flood you with a feeling you can't explain, a comfort or unease with no attached story. Your body remembers what your mind cannot access. Have you ever felt instantly calm in a stranger's kitchen, for no reason you could name? That feeling might be older than your earliest memory. It might be older than language itself. This is also why researchers treat early childhood with such seriousness, even though almost none of it can be consciously recalled by the person who lived it. The absence of memory doesn't mean the absence of impact. It means the impact took a different route into the body, one that bypasses the parts of the brain you'd use to explain it, even to yourself. Now here's the counterintuitive twist. Infantile amnesia doesn't end cleanly at age 3 or 4. It fades gradually, and the process of losing memories continues quietly your entire life. Neurogenesis in the hippocampus doesn't stop after infancy. It continues at a slower rate all the way into adulthood. Every new neuron that gets added is still, in a small way, competing with old memories for space in the same circuits. You are not the same rememberer you were 10 years ago. Your entire memory system has been renovated, piece by piece, without your permission, again and again. This means the version of your childhood you carry around isn't a recording, it's a reconstruction. Every time you recall a memory, you don't play it back like a video file. You rebuild it, using whatever neurons are currently available, and then you save that rebuilt version back into storage. Which means every memory you have has been edited, slightly, every single time you've thought about it. Your 10th birthday party isn't the party. It's the party filtered through every recollection of the party you've had since. Doesn't that make you wonder how much of your own history is invention? Here's the modern mirror. You already understand this process, even if you've never named it. Think about an old photograph you've looked at so many times. You're no longer sure if you remember the actual event or if you just remember the photograph. That blur between lived experience and reconstructed image is the same blur that erased your infancy. Your brain was never built to be an archive. It was built to be useful. Archives preserve. Brains adapt. There's something almost merciful in this design if you sit with it long enough. Every difficult year of early childhood, every fall, every fear, every overwhelming sensation a tiny nervous system wasn't equipped to process gets folded into the foundation instead of stored as a scar. The structure survives. The specific pain doesn't have to. Infantile amnesia isn't erasing your childhood. It's the reason you gotta build a self at all, instead of drowning in raw, unprocessed sensation with nowhere to put it. Consider what a baby's world actually feels like, before the framework exists to organize it. No sense of object permanence yet, no stable idea that a face which leaves the room will return. No structure to separate self from surroundings. Some researchers describe it as a kind of buzzing, blooming, confusion, sensation without categories, sound without language to hold it. You lived inside that confusion for months, and your brain's answer wasn't to remember the confusion, it was to build the tools that would end it. So when you look at that baby picture again, the one where a stranger is holding a version of you that no longer technically exists in your memory, you're not looking at a lost self. You're looking at the construction site. Every wall you've ever built your identity on, language, trust, fear, love, was poured in that period you can't access. The memories didn't survive, but you did, and everything that makes you who you are was assembled silently in the very months your mind has decided to keep from you. Made. Maybe forgetting isn't the opposite of remembering after all. Maybe it's the price of becoming someone capable of remembering anything at all. You still haven't remembered being born. You never will. But now you know why. It was never about the memory being too small to matter. It was about you being too busy becoming a person to save it.